quick forward, my friends. If you came here simply for the story about me encountering the devil in my vision quest, you might want to fast forward to about 30 minutes through, or if it's on YouTube, it might be in well-ordained AI suggested chapters. But in retrospect, I'd spent the first 30 minutes sort of laying the foundation for the experience. Well begun is half done, I've always believed, but I understand not everyone's attention span is wide enough for the whole story, so I give you options. Enjoy. I did. This is a story I've been meaning to tell for a while. About 6 weeks, maybe more. And I don't know how it's going to come out. My nerves are high. But it's a very important and dear story to me. And my story is everything I've got right now. It's a story about transformation, about the power of prayer, about shame, a man's shame, about the shame of the terrible things we have done as men, the fear of contending with that, and the hope that has carried me here, and the love and the support of community and family and friends, that I would not be able to do this without, that would not have been possible without them, to even get here, to be alive. And the divine orchestration of God and Creator, of Providence. This is a story about my second vision quest. Those of you who have been following me for some time know that I recently made a vow to walk the red road, a 4-year commitment to the sun, of the sun dance, of the vision quest, the sweat lodges, the prayers, the cactus, the sun. Oh, the sun, great creator. They say that the second year is the year of emotions. The year of the South. Fire, transformation, chaos. Our adolescent years. Our rightness and righteous indignations. Conflict. That's all very true and more. I've come to learn that this is the year that the greatest transformations are possible. That your biggest prayers for your life come to, and a great transfiguration could be at hand. That feels quite true for me. Because I can tell you right now, I regularly, many times a day, I don't recognize myself. The things that I am saying, doing, how I am acting, the ways I am feeling, feel so familiar and foreign at the same time. Because I've been an angry man most of my life. I carry great anger and great pain. But up until now, I've had massive blinders onto it. And the gift of this story, the gift of this experience, has allowed me to see it with such clarity that it humbles me to my knees. I shudder and shake with shame. I hide because I don't want to be seen, because I am disgusted with it all. And I'm forgetting my greatness and the great deeds and good I've done. It all is vapor right now, most of the time. Enough preamble, I suppose. So, once upon a time, I went to Mexico, northern Mexico. Guadalajara? No, something like that, I can't remember. But something like that. I went to a place that our chief hadn't returned to in 2 years because of a great tragedy that happened at the last Vision Quest. There was a grievous injury that his then wife sustained, which ultimately took her life in the following weeks, leaving a heavy energy upon that land and upon that family that was not to be contested with once again until we returned. In the years that followed between that incident and to this story, much had happened. Tales for another time. But part of what happened there that is of import is I was able to weave into the fabric of this family with great fortune and great folly. I was a fool to enter in the way that I did, and my good friend Abraham made it very clear that that was the case. Didn't stop me. Didn't stop me at all. So, for a bit of context, it's important to understand what a vision quest is. It's many things, but it has some mundane tenets that's worth noting. It's 4 days. 4 days in the forest, in the jungle, in nature, alone. Physically. No food, no water. And you are surrounded by hundreds of prayers that you have made for yourself. In the tradition I am allied with, it's 101 for each direction. The east, the south, the west, the north. And these prayers are not just for me, but they're for my family, my loved ones, for the world, for my life. For life itself. We serve life. And they protect me while I'm out there. A concept I didn't fully understand until this quest. Each of those prayers is a bit of tobacco wrapped in the color of the direction. A ceremony unto itself to prepare. And while you're out there, your family is back at the base camp, holding a sacred fire, connected to you, etherically, spiritually, praying for you, for they know your prayers, and keeping their vessels clean and clear so they may support you. They eat and they drink for you. They sustain you. Each of the 4 days out there represents the directions once again. Cyclical and spiral all the way up and down. The first day for the east, the second for the south, the third for the west, and the fourth for the north. On that third day, in this tradition, they tend to come and bring you some medicine. Some peyote cactus, and some wachuma cactus in this case, 2 cacti, which have a psychedelic component, greatly buoyed by the incredibly open state achieved after 3 days of fasting. Again, no food, no water for 4 days. and troublesome and tireless rest. This time around, anyway, sleep was scant and troublesome. Is that enough context? I believe so. I believe so. The last thing I'll say is that while you're out there, your job is to pray for your life, to pray for your prayers, to pray, to be guided, to offer yourself. It's not simply to pray for a vision, but you're there to give yourself to nature and give yourself to God, first and foremost. Vision quest is a translation at best. The native word is hamblecha. And honestly, I don't even know what that specifically means. And I should actually. It's kind of silly because I'm, really into words. But yeah, visions do come, but it's not about asking for them. It's so fashionable in the world of New Age manifestation to be asking for something from Creator. Oh, please, give me money, give me love, give me this, give me that. Well, what are you giving in return? We pray. We offer ourselves. We say, Creator, give me what I need to serve you so I can assume the highest and best station in my life to do your will through me in the way that I am best designed to. And that's why we humble ourselves, enlighten ourselves during these experiences. Because then Spirit can move through us. And when Spirit moves through us and with us and as us, we see differently. That's my take on the vision. So as I arrive on the land, it was a very happy experience up until the third day, starting with the preparations. I had met this wonderful young man who's the chief, the Lakota chief of this family, named Jeffrey. He's in his 20s, I believe. And I had my first conversation with him, which I've been looking forward to for a very long time because he's covered in wonderful tattoos. Some of them I can tell are Native American import. And like he has one big, beautiful red one on his shoulder full of runes. And I'm like, oh, I need to ask him about this because I've been noticing out there in the world this convergence of the Scandinavian, the Norse, and the Native American cultures. It's a powerful warrior tribe convergence. Quite interesting. And I expected he would have some beautiful story to tell about his noticing of this and his way and his participation in this syncretism. But it wasn't. What it was so much more interesting and powerful and valuable for me. It was from a video game. A video game very near and dear to my heart when I was a young man called Silent Hill 2. Incredibly psychological thriller. Most fascinating is that he's a young man, and that is a very cult game that is not popular with most young gamers. And so here I am realizing that this Native American chief is a huge video game nerd, completely validating this aspect of me that I've been shaming myself around because I like to hide and go play video games when life is too much, which has been very much true lately. The thing is, when I was young, I played a lot of video games, and I'm coming to realize that these were the bedrock of myself, of my constitution spiritually. They brought to me the old myths and stories that we had lost. You're no longer people that sit around fires and tell stories. Embedded within these games were the archetypes and the gods of Shiva and Odin, Dionysus. They were all there. And this was my first touch into them as a young, impressionable youth, and I carried that my whole life. And now look at what has become of me. I am this magic in these stories. I carry that. I search and delve into these myths, into these tomes, because that is what Spirit guided me to do. And so that really set the tone very well for me. There was the peyote ceremony to prepare us. Beautiful altar mixed with wachuma, amatakame, was ancient history of elders that carried the peyote medicine in Mexico. And then our local chief, Tomas, he doesn't like to be called that though, So syncretic altar, again, this word keeps coming up a lot because it's what we do. It's the whole point of this. The rainbow prophecy, the condor eagle, we are synthesizing and merging. We need to unite. And that ceremony completely mirrored the entire arc in retrospect. Everything was great until the very end. And then I felt so much unknown pain. I know pain, but I didn't know this pain. It was so large that I was afraid to share it with anybody, to be seen by anyone. I kept running away when we were done. When the sun came up and the ceremony closed, I was hiding. And I knew there was one person I could speak with, my dear friend Abraham. And he was taking care of himself. I'll come back when I'm done with this coffee, he says. Okay, I understand. I'll come back when I'm done with this cigar. I got to take care of this. Okay, it's fine. And I'm puttering about. I'm trying to put together the pieces of my shame and my pain and my confusion. And I sat down at one point. Some woman said to him, he really needs your help. And he's like, I know. And I knew he knew, but we had to wait. All I can say is the following experience where he sat with me and talked helped me see him in a way I hadn't before, that he's a true friend and truly loves me and understands what I'm going through. And that's really hard about this path. Is like, it's hard to trust that people understand what's happening for you, what's happening to you, this pain, because it comes from the deepest, darkest corners and recesses that we don't understand, and it's crippling. And we're afraid to show it to people. And that set the stage for what was to come. And so, entonces, they say in Spanish, therefore, beautiful word. I went out to my space. The first, 2.5 days were so joyous, so peaceful. The only challenge was I was incredibly tired because I'd been abusing a lot of Mambe and Ambiel for the months prior to that. A tobacco paste and coca powder that go well together. I have a little right here. Still on my way, but thank you, tobacco. Great teacher. Thank you for helping me clarify my thoughts and to pray. But since I was off of it, my natural energy was plummeting. And I would be taking a lot of naps. But in these naps, such vivid and beautiful dreams. Like the witch I only had when I was a young boy. A young boy with a mind that was a pure and innocent tool, untainted by much of the world's ills. I would have such vivid, lucid dreams. Precognitive in nature, I tell you. I know this because in the weeks to follow, I would used to have a moment of deja vu that was immediately followed by a feeling of this was in my dream, a flash, a flourish around me, a blooming of energy. That's what these dreams felt like. And while I can't remember the particular contents, they were with people in my prayer family, in my life, affirming the path I was on, assuring me that it was working out. None of those moments of blooming life and validation have happened yet, but I know they either have happened or they will. And that was a great gift, to know that this capacity for my dream world visioning was reconstituting, something I've been praying about for many years now. My sleep has been abysmal for such a long time. And funny thing is, I lost my aura ring during this process, which is what I used for many years to understand the trappings of my sleep and how to get it right once again. And I gave that to Abraham to watch over for me as my helper, and it had gone missing. Now, in these ways, things go missing that you don't need anymore. Sometimes the fairy spirits take these shiny little baubles away from you, and the way I see it is, I'm in a place now where thinking, planning, strategy, data is not so important, and so I let this go. With some challenge, there's definitely some blaming that wanted to happen. But I'm having these fantastic dreams. And no sooner than when I settle in and lay down my single thin yoga mat, which I slept upon those nights, a crow flies by. Hello, Odin. To remind me I'm in the right place and that my ancestors are with me. The ancestors that I've been praying to be blessed by, which is a big part of why this story is so important to me for what is to come, what happens on that third night. I know I keep dangling it. It's all important, but the thing that's coming is the thing. At some point later, a tiger moth came to visit me. It landed on one of the yellow prayers for the East for new beginnings, which is the spirit animal of a dear friend of mine that I did some work with prior to coming out. And a tiger moth came to us during our time together, and it was not even fully transformed. I thought it was dying, but it was still yet to grow its wings. And it did so during our time together. And so it came to me. I realized it was a messenger from her. And so I asked it, how is she doing? And it flourished in a good way. And they say with the world of spirit and power animals, you ask them yes/no questions. And if the answer is to be yes, there's a positive flourish. Like it looks at you or it beams and it flutters, wings or wings. Wings. And it did. And I said, great. Will you let her know that I'm okay too? And as soon as those words passed my lips, it flew off. I'm like, wow. There's my first experience with a messenger spirit. Just like that. I started to see the future of my family in the trees. One tree looked like me, and the other tree looked like my to-be beloved. And between us, 4 smaller trees. Maybe I'll be having 4 kids. Joyous, beautiful encounters like that were happening all up until the 3rd day. There might be more, but those were the highlights that I can recall. Oh, there was one point when another crow came back, and it told me to get off my ass and to be in my body. I didn't know you could communicate with crows like parrots. Like they parrot you if you make noises. We were clucking and chirping at each other. And apparently, which I'd find out later, when the prayer family up at the base camp was in the sweat lodge, Chief Jeffrey said, at one point a crow came in called Many Feathers. And he says, we're with you. And after I told him about my crow encounters, he's like, there's Many Feathers. So I've got crow spirit now with me, which feels great. My ancestors, big with the crows and ravens, right? Haugen and Maunin, Odin's 2 messengers. There was a terrible, terrible thing going on every night leading up to the final night. There was no peace. There was no solace. There was no peace. No peace. As the sun went down the first 2 nights, club music would come on. That first night was the night of Beltane. Beautiful, massive disc of a golden moon, of the likes I'd never seen, dancing within the fog. A not so chilly fog, this one. And I was praying for my beloved. I've been alone for a very long time. Rightly so, I can now tell you. I was praying for my beloved. And after I finished that prayer, a Black Eyed Peas song came on from down in the valley below me from a club that would continue to play such terrible music for several hours into the deep dark of the night. Meaning no respite for me, no time to pray, no time to sleep. But worse, all the time to be with my anger. Necessary, not so much worse. I noticed this though, because I knew the anger was a big part of what was happening for me. And hearing this making me so angry. I was getting judgmental. I'm like, this is no holy land. This is a theme park. This is a backyard overlooking the chaos of Central American society. There was a mad pack of dogs, one that would always be whimpering when the others were barking. There were explosions because it was also a holiday week. I thought they were blowing up sides of the mountain for mineral mining. It was fireworks. Fireworks of the like that you don't experience in the States. These people like big fireworks. I even heard a Toy Story movie at some time. Some family must have had a very loud speaker and projector system for their kids. And I'm just like, holy shit. Not what you expect for a vision quest. And I'm like, I know these are new spots because 2 years ago, someone was killed by a spot, by the nature there. Did they check these spots? Did they test them out? Probably not. And I was right. I wanted to blame my team. I wanted to blame my family for not being sure these would be peaceful places. But I noticed it too, but still I was cranky. I was cranky. So the third day comes around. And mind you, I haven't felt a lick of hunger or thirst at all. But I am still grumpy. And I'm the last one they would come to, because I was the last one to be placed. Also, even though I had the greatest vantage point, the highest space, I was closest to camp, and I knew what that meant because I'd overheard earlier that placement is of import. The person that they know will need the most help and the most support will be the one closest to the camp. That was this guy. That was this guy. Oh, don't inhale. Oh, gosh. Good thing I have some sweet tea here. Ever watch David the Gnome? I did. I loved that show. So, I am an angry mess that day. I got all kinds of like soot on my face. I even fashioned it into some kind of like Viking face makeup, Palo Santo soot and what have you. And I'm sitting there in my little corner during the part of the day where the sun is very high. I had one little bit of shade that would move from one corner to the next. I had to follow and stand up very straight to stay out of the sun. I had a tarp I could have put up, but I didn't want a big, ugly, black piece of plastic get in the way of my view of this idyllic nature. So I'm sitting there, standing tall, chiefing on my cigar, knowing very well how I appeared and wanting them to see it. And aware of it the whole time as being a dick. So they come to me. They're lining up. And they ask me how I am. And the first thing I say, gosh, do you guys have any fucking idea how chaotic it's been out here? How loud, how noisy, how miserable. I can't pray. I can't sleep. There's nothing holy about this. This land is no holy space. And the owner of the land is there too. What an insult. They're kind of snickering and laughing because they know about my pain and my anger. And so they give me some medicine. I asked him for a lot, but the chief didn't honor that, thankfully. He knew better. And after all my whinging and moaning, a good dear friend of mine sings a song of peace, which I kind of scoffed at. Well, she knew better than me to sing that song of peace for me, to bless me. Now comes the rain. Take 2, now with noise reduction. If only that would work for my mind. That's what the mushrooms are for. So, we're approaching the 3rd night. We're approaching the event itself. The Primeval Dark One. Now's a good time to let you all know what my prayer was for myself out there on the Archetypal Mountain, as they call it. Being steeped in myth, animacy, and traditional mythopoetic men's work, I knew it was important for me to get good with my mother and father above all things, if not the only major tasks of individuation healing I do in this life. That would be enough. And I've done that. By the grace of God, I've done that. And so what comes after that, especially in this deep curiosity around this nagging chronic lower back pain I've had since I stepped upon the path of intentional spiritual development and healing, what comes after that is healing the lineage, addressing that which has been carried down and passed down to me, unaddressed through generations, through centuries, perhaps even millennia, untouched by those who had not the guidance to see it or contend with it. And that I still had such wild pain, though by degrees less and less over the years, made me very curious about what it could be, all the way down just to the right of the sacrum. Stability, support, money, enoughness. How could I still struggle psychosomatically with such things after all this work? Well, you're about to find out why. So my prayer, friends, was to really understand the nature of this pain. And I had known through deep interrogation of this part of myself, this part of my body, that it has a lot to do with, well, we start at the surface level. Anger. I've been angrier than ever since touching this thing after this quest. And I've always been kind of an angry person. Again, degrees less and less over the years. But if you had known me in my late teens and 20s, I was a right fucker. Just really cunning and clever and cutting with my words. I wasn't a tough guy like the traditional New Englander. I mean, I was a strong boy, but my mind was sharper and stronger. And I would destroy people with my barbed tongue. Only discovering now the honeyed silver tongue. So, anger sits atop a core wound, and for me it's shame. So what have I been ashamed of, right? There have been some breadcrumbs along the way, things I can look back on in my life and can feel the confusion around it. Why did I do that? I noticed shame, but what was that? What was taking me into those places? Despite my feeling I was doing my best to be helpful and to be supportive, to be good, and the immense damage I would cause. So looking at that and also noticing a great trend around me, you can understand what's true for you by noticing the parallels in your life, especially in this line of work. When people come to you, look at their troubles, because they mirror yours in some way. And I couldn't help but notice in the collective, particularly in those around me personally and in my practices, looking at things like suicide, looking at the truth of sexual abuse, rape, murder, cannibalism, just terror, genocide. One can't help but think of what Jordan Peterson says. We're all capable of what all monsters in history have wrought. We all have this demon. And so you do well to find it and put it on a leash. I found it, my friends. I found it. I prayed about that. I sincerely made that prayer. I'm like, okay, I think it has something to do with this. Show me what it is that causes men to rape, to murder, to torture, to cannibalize, to subjugate, to tyrannize, to oppress, to abuse. Show me what that is. Show me how it moved through me, where it finds its stranglehold in my body. Show it to me. And so as the sun set, I would see in the trees only, figures begin to appear. Again, it's very important that you note trees only. My hands, my feet, the ground beneath me, my altar, completely sober and clear and stoic. Only the trees, the place where the spirits communicate to us, through them, as them. Bacchanalia of Dionysian proportions. Orgiastic, if you will. I thought to myself, well, on the heels of Beltane, this makes sense. I don't watch pornography anymore, but I'll take this in and enjoy the energy. Remember, I thought I was going to be celebrating that night. And so I reveled in the internal bliss and the... yeah, just watching these scenes play out. These beatific, beautiful, cupidic beings. Just, yeah. But then shortly that faded. And one of each of the parties engaged in delightful coitus and sensual reverie would turn into a demon or some sort of beast with fangs and claws and hooves and horns, raping, devouring, gleefully smiling, blood trickling down the lips and the maw. All very high def, mind you. Trees. Tree TV. Everywhere I looked, I couldn't avoid it. Even this tree that I imagined to be my future wife turned into some strange insectoid alien with a bulbous gut that's just spewing vitriol and miasma. That hasn't sorted itself out for me quite yet. But as I continue to behold this dirge, up straight in the center formed a head. Indistinguishable in its features. I knew I had seen it before, at least a familiarity of knowing what it was. Perhaps it was because of the books I had been reading prepared me for this encounter. Angular head. Chin that came to a point. Tiny curved hairs up top. Not big ram's ones, but tiny, pointed, and efficient. Beady eyes made of the stars that poured and poked through the trees, except when they came through into this face, they were glowing red. No longer a golden, scintillating color. And a maw, constantly opening and closing, full of dagger-sharp and long teeth. And I just looked at this thing, I would behold it, as it almost pulsed with life. The eyes glimmering at me, the mouth slowly opening more and closing a bit, never fully closing. The teeth wanted to be seen menacing and advancing. I tried to relate to it. Is this a part of me? Is this a guide? Something. Relate to it as I would in my own practices with my clients. Ask questions. bring curiosity, bring compassion, bring intrigue, bring forgiveness. Nothing would change its countenance. The maleficence endured, and I was starting to become shaken, lost, at a loss. I was trying to do something, but there was really nothing to do, and it was still early in the night. And so, as I do when I'm at a loss in situations like this, I look to my altar. And even though I had planned to celebrate that night, I had preparations just in case. And my eyes fell upon these 2 coins I had placed there. 2 coins that I didn't even know were in my bag. 2 coins to pay a ferryman for something to die and for passage across that river Styx. I didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but I knew what to do. I knew I was going to bundle myself up as warm as I could, because all of a sudden a bone-chilling fog descended upon the space. Glad in a way, because I could breathe for the first time very clearly through my nose. But it was a deathly chill, a passage. The fog often indicates moving from one realm to the other. And that was surely true. I'm just realizing that. This is the import of telling stories. You pick up on new details. So I went down and I put these coins in my eyes and fastened them with a scarf. And I made it up as I went. I took my consciousness into my body and was curious about any beings or energies that had any part to play in this, to join me, to come with me, to go to the depths of some mythic realm where we would meet the ferryman. And I said to them, I am here, I am with you for as long as I can go. And I will help you relieve and remove and release whatever is possible, but I can't cross all the way with you. You might remember that scene from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the original with Gene Hackman, where they go in this boat ride through a dark, dark tunnel, and there's just these incredibly enlarged graphic videos of worms, insects, maggots, viscera, and he's cackling in some sort of occulted and maddening way. It's like that, but if it was produced by the bastard love child of H.R. Geiger and H.P. Lovecraft on acid and maybe some mushrooms. It was that, and it felt like the opposite of being in divine ecstatic union with bliss and God, as I felt when I took 5-MeO DMT once, and sometimes with mushrooms, an infinite, unending love and unity. It was the opposite of that. As soon as we got to that river and something was set off on its way, and this is when that began. Just a terrifying tapestry of rape, murder, abuse, genocide, cannibalism, torture. All possible evil things. Not dark, evil, malevolent, malicious. And the energy of it, the shapes, the symbols, not some sort of documentary of events known. This was its realm. And beyond that, it was partnered with a voice, a temptation. Here, this could be yours. And all of a sudden there was this mass of like flesh, just like forming and shaping all these different genitalia. Not even a full body, but something really sexual that I could just take, have, abuse, rape, murder, kill, consume. I could witness all this with some semblance of myself. Thank goodness, because I could notice it. And I was just like, this is a lot. With a maddening and invisible grin. That went on for what felt like an eternity, as it goes. And at one point it ended, and it was black. And I shook and I shuddered a little bit and acknowledged a release, a movement, an opening. That's all you can know with that. And I spent some time wondering, should I get up? Is it over? What do I do? And something wrapped me on the right foot, and I bolted straight up to be sure my foot was still in the confines of my protection, and it was. But whatever it was, that was okay, get up. That's done. It is done. And so I look around and I'm exhausted. A paranormal fatigue down to the cells. I feel like waste upon the floor, like compost. And I look up. The face of the devil is still there. Closer than ever. Brighter and more menacing. As if to taunt me. That wasn't enough. I am still here. And I was so tired. I was so tired. And I look up at the moon. There's still many hours to go until the night was done. But I was so tired. And I thought to myself, let's try a nap. It wasn't hard to try, but every time I touched the void, I touched the dream world, I would shoot back up with a start and a jarring in the head, a sparking, something of a wire that was crossed, feeling through my brain, spikes of electricity, claws of confusion. I tried this a few different times, and every time I returned, it felt worse. And so I began to doubt myself, the prayer. I began to fear from my mind because I felt it slipping. I began to think of the people whom I have helped, who were with a broken mind. And I thought to myself, oh, fuck, this could be me. And I accepted that. I'm like, well, if it is meant to be, I'm with a good company. They will take care of me. I will be okay. That's for sure. But still, I wasn't going down without a fight, you could say. Something. But the terror of feeling like I was truly going to go mad gripped me to the bone. It was shaking there in the dirt. I was crying. Oh, my body was so dry. I don't know where it came from. I just let that face come face to face with mine. I almost felt like I wanted to let it consume me because sometimes that's what you have to do. Sometimes when you're faced with great evil, all the compassion and curiosity and grace isn't it? It's either that, or you fight it, or you let it consume you. I was very close to letting it consume me. But you see, I knew it couldn't, because I was protected. I was safe in there. And as a side note, this is also part of what the Vision Quest is. It's a place where you can practice your magic safely. This dawned upon me out there. And I also knew that one day I'd be out there without this protection, so I may as well practice well now. So once more, I look over to my altar, and I'm reminded of some powerful tools I had put there and blessed before going to this night again to prepare. Always going to be prepared for a journey into hell or heaven or anywhere when you're alone in the forest, praying to reconstitute your own indigeneity and work with the old dots. I have a sense of being prepared for the unknown, thank goodness. And so, through some heavenly force and might, I wrestle myself up off the ground and crawl over to my altar. And I grab my baston, which is a fancy way of saying a stick that is blessed with 7 strands and ribbons, 1 for each direction, that you take when you leave the area of protection to take a shit somewhere, and you come back as fast as you can. And this pendant that was given to me by a dear friend that had 7 pointed star on it, and there were 7 of us out there, 7 visionaries, and I blessed this pendant to keep us connected, to support us all, and to share and lend our strength to one another in our time of need. It's almost like I knew I would need these things, you know? And so I grab the baston on my left hand, the pendant in my right, and I go to the center of my space and I look up at this demon, this devil, and I start marching in place, back and forth, primarily to summon some energy and to connect with the earth. And then I realize I'm doing a sun dance march. I'm like, okay, bringing in energy, the sun. And then I remember the song of peace sung to me. I'm like this, I'm going to sing this song of peace. And I sang that song of peace what must have been like an hour until I felt it done. I felt the prayers of the world moving through me. I'd actually forgot this part of the story, but I blessed this necklace, these beads with every prayer I could think of during the night of the Beltane moon. And I wore this. And I wear it often. And then I sat and I chanted the Sator Square, ancient spell used by the Druids to the Templar, to all sorts and manner of mystics, to bring creation and fruition to what was just prayed for, which for me was peace. And after that, I collapsed in exhaustion. I got to meet sleep. And then I woke up and the sun had risen. The sun had risen. It was over. And so that was my encounter with the devil. No mincing of words there. This is an archetypal encounter, not unlike Jesus going out to the desert or Buddha sitting with Mara and having tea. These encounters aren't simply relegated for the mystics. They are available to those on the mystic path. These are rites of passage. And they will floor you, and they will gut you, and they will rearrange your insides until you cannot recognize yourself. That's what's happening to me. It's both terrifying and joyous, depending on when you check in with me, when you ask. What to say about this now? Well, I've never felt so much anger in my life. The same kind of anger I had in my 20s, but now with an awareness of it. And when that awareness shines upon my anger in the ways that I'm hurting my loved ones, I immediately fall into crippling shame and depression. Yeah. With such resilience, though, I'm familiar with these places, but the intensity and the frequency is new, fast, staggering. But I've been reminded by a dear friend of mine, consider it a second opinion, someone who understands this path of the Red Road. Also my first teacher ever, and so she's watched me for quite some time. I also just finished a channeling course with her, which was appropriate for integration. And I more or less shared with her what I've been going through. And she says to me, remember your prayers. You want to pray to the old gods. You want them to come to you to support you. That's going to be a ordeal. It's a tall task. And let me tell you a story about my partner, she says, who's 60 years old. And she said she witnessed him once channeling Apollo. And he also came to a similar place and was struggling and pained like me. A man studying with the indigenous like me, on the Red Road like me, learning to be a channel like me, very similar, working with old gods like me, albeit different. I'm not into the Greeks as much. And she, this woman who had been channeling her whole life, and I've seen her perform feats that have blown my mind. She said what she saw this man do when Apollo and the sun was coming through him in incarnate form just left her in awe. She said the work he had to do to his body to be able to hold such power, to receive such prayer, had completely transformed him. A new body, a new mind. And he's now staying up 10, 12 hours. Staying up like 20, 22 hours a day with his practices, but also building technological tools with AI. And he's like, this energy, this power, this life force is something that's coming to me. And that reminded me the practices I am doing every morning aren't simply to help move this energy, to help keep it going. It's to create space for something more, to be something more, to allow these prayers to settle and find a home, a throne within this being. She says, your brain is being reprogrammed. Your blood is changing. Spirit is moving through you and becoming more a part of you. This imperial brain that has been programmed to be as such for the last few millennia is moving more toward the realm of the mystical mind. When that happens, you feel like you're going crazy. It's not bad. It's simply different, and we don't know it. We don't understand it. And that's what's happening. But what it feels like is abject shame and fear regularly. A fear of being found out and seen for how terrible I've been and how terrible I can still be. Every little vestige of shadow that still wants to find fault in somebody, or the ways that I understand I'm not well, how just my being can trigger somebody else by being who I am. Even though I'm doing my best and I know that I'm good, I feel like a monster often. And I'm a hair trigger right now. I'm a real fucking hard ass. I'm so critical and judgmental, and to see it and to be it and to be here and now and moving into the future at the same time holding this wretched past of who I was that's still with me. It's a circus. It's a circus on fire with deranged, mutant sideshows all coming up and clawing for breath and air and witnessing. The people closest to me are moving very far away from me, save for a few. I have the stomach for it. Thank you, Abraham. But that is the story. That's what's happening. This is why the stuff I've been sharing over the last few weeks has been kind of unhinged and manic. I hope this helps those few people who follow my story, God bless you, understand what's happening. Disclaimer, I am okay. I will be okay. I'm becoming better than ever, and I'm really well supported. None of these things would have happened unless I was ready for them, and trust me, I know what the proper container and support system looks like. This I have learned at the very least, and I couldn't ask for a better community and system to be experiencing this in. I am very well held and very safe. my material world may be crumbling like the tower that it is, but that is nothing to me right now. I am everything to me. I need to be. I need to love myself. I need to trust these feelings. I need to be honest. I need to share this story. This is why I'm here. It's been made clear to me that I need to be honest. That I have anger issues. I've hurt people with my anger and my judgment and my criticism, and I feel like life is unfair. And I'm doing my best not to let this spill over onto everyone else who's hurting in the same way. Not let my comparing be a sword to cut others out. But I know these great pains that the world suffers. I know them well, despite what people might make of my appearance, my place. That'll do. I have a terrible headache now, so that's gonna have to do.